What's going on, guys? Welcome to Techbuds podcast, episode 6.
Yep, 6.
Today, we are just going to talk about some trending topics, stuff that's going on in the world today, and just keep you informed about our opinions on different things. And overall, we got a bunch of guests coming on this week, so stay tuned to that. But to kick it off, one thing that everyone's talking about right now is the Jeffrey Netflix series.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
The Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series.
I haven't watched that shit yet.
I'm currently watching it right now.
And everyone's opinions on it are completely different. You're deep. What do you think so far?
Creepy, nasty, very interesting. It just kind of opens your mind a little bit to realize that there's people out there with a mindset like that. You really don't realize it until you see how he was born and raised, how he grew up. Not that it makes sense, but you can see why he'd have a weird obsession with doing all that stuff. But yeah, overall, very nasty. I'm probably going to finish the episodes probably tonight. So we'll do a recap later on how that is. But yeah, have you seen it at all?
Nah, I typically don't watch that type of shit, man.
Me neither. But I had to. It was trending so much.
Are you guys one of those, if something's on Netflix and everyone's talking about it, trending one, you're just kind of, whether you're into it or not, you're like, fuck it, I got to watch
You
this.
feel like the need to watch it because, like, imagine, like, Squid Games. Think about how popular that was. Everyone was talking about Squid Games.
I like it because it makes me, when I'm scrolling through TikTok or I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see all these relevant memes or people reenacting Jeffrey Dahmer on TikTok, I can relate to it. Now I can watch it and understand why it's funny or whatever. So especially like Squid Games, there's so many memes, and it seemed like every post on Instagram was about Squid Games or TikTok or whatever you were on. So yeah, watching it made me just, I don't know, feel like I could understand those memes and content a little bit more.
Yeah, I think, me personally, I just think, like, it's obviously such a creepy show. I don't watch a ton of TV, but I know that it makes me want to watch it because I feel like I'm having FOMO because I don't know what's going on. And I watched a couple episodes of it, but it's really, like, really gory for me. Like, I don't really watch TV that's, like,
Very gory, yeah.
gory like that. But I feel like because it's so, like, off color, I think people are, like, intrigued and they want to keep watching it because it's, like, so disturbing and different.
Well, it's insane because, I mean, I'm only 24 years old, but I've never watched any serial killer stuff or anything like that. And I've heard of Jeffrey Dahmer before, and, you know, you don't really know much about him or what really in depth about his murders or anything about that. So when I watch this Netflix documentary about it, like I said, it opens your mind realizing that there are people out there like that. And it opens your mind to kind of be a little bit more cautious. Like I don't know. I think
Do you feel like, though, it kind of makes these crazy dudes into celebrities? Do you think it almost promotes?
I do agree. I thought the same thing. I mean, he already he's passed away now.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not getting any clout off of it or any benefits because he's dead. But I do understand where people, it's almost like glorifying in a sense.
Like the next serial killer will be, I want to be the next Jeffrey Dahmer. I want the next Netflix series.
Yeah, I definitely
I worry about that shit.
Yeah, me too. I thought about that same thing watching it the other night.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you because I watched that TV show Dexter.
Yeah,
and it's like he's a murderer, right? And it's like goes through obviously it's a gory TV show, shows you like the thought process of him. It's like, okay, well, it's a like a made up character, you know what I mean? So to see the similar like type of stuff in depth of someone who you know was alive and did this shit in like real life, you're like, holy crap. And then exactly what Jake says, I'm like, yo, there's someone out there doing this like right now as we speak. Like, what do we think about that?
Yeah,
like,
I saw one of our friends, Donnie. Did you see his story? Last night he posted, it was just a news article he reposted on his Instagram story. But it was like serial killer on the loose in California right now, currently. He's killed 5 guys and they haven't caught him yet or anything. No links to anything or traces to any specific reason. But I saw him post that. He's like, oh, here we go. Like,
oh, my gosh.
You hear about that? Okay. Oh, well.
That's all right.
But you hear about like these killers sometimes and how many, mysteries out there of murders that aren't solved. And it's kind of creepy.
Hundreds, thousands,
I think
millions.
There's thousands in the U.S. currently that are just open.
Well, that's the craziest part about that Jeffrey Dahmer thing. He's like, the reason he did it for so long is because he didn't get caught. And as nasty and crazy as that sounds, like, people can get away with it.
Do you know how long ago that was?
1980 something. Different time.
I wonder if these days, I feel like it's a lot harder to get away with.
There's no security cameras or anything in his documentary. He is breaking into stores and shit.
Yeah,
stealing stuff.
I see that for sure, but I also feel like if you work at it hard enough, like, you could totally get away with that stuff.
You could.
Like remote locations, people don't go to, low population areas, towns. The thing is
sketchy.
One thing that I learned about a lot of serial killers is, like, they almost want to, like, show off their work in a way. Like, they low key, like, brag about it, or like
Jeffrey Dahmer brought the sandwich to his neighbor.
Exactly.
It's like a slight flex in the movie, or in real life too. He had a neighbor in his apartment. He was killing people in his apartment. His next door neighbor, she was complaining and stuff, and he went over to her house and he tries bringing her a sandwich to apologize, and it's obviously human meat in the sandwich. Nasty. And yeah, it's not good.
Is that kind of like his
it's like a
signature?
Flex.
I know some of these serial killers, they have like a signature. They always either like put the bodies a certain way.
Yeah, it wasn't a signature. It's like his way.
He
of,
took pictures of them all. That's, I guess, his signature.
Yeah.
There's tons of Polaroid pictures of each body part disassembled. And if you really watch a documentary, it goes into his life that, like, as a kid, his parents, he always, like, really cared about pictures because it captured the memory. His parents were big on pictures in school. Like, that's graduation crazy. Pictures were a big thing for him. So when he started getting into this, he realized he liked pictures, and it started documenting it so he can look back on it and, like, enjoy that time. It's nasty as that sounds and gross. But next topic. What else besides Jeffrey Dahmer?
That's a huge thing.
That is.
I've talked to like 5 or 6 people today, and that's all they've asked me.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
What episode are you on?
Really?
I'm like, dude, does everyone just watch Netflix?
It's the most hyped show probably right now.
What about something I saw today was, you see Tesla stock?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Down 8%.
Of course.
Not good.
Time to load up. What do you mean?
Time to load up.
Right. Did you guys see the robot?
Oh, yeah, the AI.
Yeah, what do you think about this Tesla robot?
It's literally, I think it's amazing. I think Tesla AI can be the most next level thing that's out, and I think it's definitely, like, I think it's the path. Is this one particular Optimus bot that he made the most perfect solution? No, not yet. But neither was the first Motorola phone with internet. Neither was the first BlackBerry. Neither was the first iPhone. Think about how far advanced you are with an iPhone 14 Pro plus 1 terabyte in your hands versus 2002. What kind of smartphone did you have, 20 years ago?
No, I agree.
I mean, even 2008.
That's what I'm saying. Like, think about how advanced this robot is today.
It's advanced. It's going to change the world, but there's also that scary side of it to where, that there is, you've seen, all those movies, Terminator, iRobot, all that shit, which is obviously a scare. I think for me personally, like that chip, especially Elon's coming out with in your head.
But check
I'm
this
not
out.
getting that.
So I have a house. I have a pretty big property.
Yeah.
A lot of shit to take care of. I know you guys are living in apartments, a little easier to like take care of.
Yeah.
You have a house now. So all this shit you got to do. I'm thinking if I have one of these robots, like I need my palm trees clipped. That fucker could just be climbing up the tree, clip the palm trees off. I need to redo some tiling. You just program it. That thing's tiling at 3 a.m. when I'm sleeping. It's inside. It's doing the laundry. It's cleaning the whole house.
I think
I don't think people are thinking about you won't have to really do all these basic ass chores in the future.
I agree, but I'm going to play devil's advocate because as many pros as there are to anything, there's also cons. And even though this robot can replace all these jobs, these lower level jobs that are labor intensive that either people don't want to do or it just jobs that simply in our economy, the way it's structured, don't pay well enough, especially with what we have going on with inflation, to take care of a family. They're not realistic jobs anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean?
How scary is that for all these robots to take over people's jobs, though?
I don't think it's scary. I think the economy always corrects itself and there will be new things to do, but I think people don't think of a future where maybe we don't have to work as hard as we do today. Even look at today. I don't believe the way we all make money today is nearly as hard as people 100 years ago to live nicer lives that we live today. So imagine a future where we even have to do less things to live a better life.
I agree with you. But do you think everyone will benefit? What about the guy who owns his landscaping business?
Yeah,
Say
like my landscaper Mario is literally at my house right now. I have just a leak in one of my, sprinkler systems.
Yeah.
So he's over there, he's fixing the leak, he's gonna get paid. In the future, I'm just like, Tesla robot, go fix that leak.
Right. But that person in the future, what is he gonna do for work? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's cons to like the shift of robots. It's the same thing as like
That's what I was saying. It's
like in comparison to a factory line. Okay.
Yeah.
Think about the Model T. Think about the early Ford vehicles. Okay, that was the first big time like assembly line, the whole industrial evolution, stuff like that. Think about how many employees it took to build a car. Think about today. There's minimal employees that are required, comparatively speaking. You know what I mean?
Won't new economies get created though? Think before the internet, there wasn't all these jobs. All the way we make money today wasn't even a thought 50 years ago before all this internet money. So I think in the future, there could be new economies that get created because of these robots. And I think as society has moved on, you think back in, ancient Egypt, it's like 90% of the people that lived there were building the pyramids every day, doing that hard labor.
Yeah.
Only a handful of people lived decent lives of what we would consider decent today, right? Of always having food, water, being able to actually enjoy some things in life. So I think in the future, you're still always, I guess, going to have the bottom that's probably going to struggle, but doesn't the bottom, haven't they always struggled in every society? I don't know if you can help them too much, but I think the middle and upper class of people, they're going to live better lives, I think, than they ever have before.
I think it's cyclical. Like, there's a cycle to it. You know what I mean? It's like hard times create, I'm going to mess up the phrase, but I think it's like hard times create
strong men.
Strong men create like easy times create weak men.
Yeah.
And it's like cyclical. Do you think that could play a little role in it?
Yeah, I think we already see that today in a lot of ways, but I don't think you can stop that from happening in society. I think you can add new technology, but those cycles will continue. They'll just look slightly different, I think, with what's going on. But I don't see how having someone not have, like my landscaper, dude, he busts his ass. Like, he's up at 4 a.m.
Of course.
Middle of summertime, him and his crew, like, shout out to them. They're grinding. But in the future, if robots could just be doing those types of jobs, I even think like real estate. Think if you own a construction company, we're developers in the future, and we just have a fleet of robots building housing. Shouldn't that bring down the price of housing in the future?
Yeah, I mean, in theory.
You should be able to build, like, we have no shortage of land. So if we have robots and we have all this manual labor, right now, a big reason why we don't even develop more is there's not enough manual labor. Like, these days, it's hard to find contractors, people that want to do the manual labor, because there are more opportunities today than there were 20, 30 years ago. So I think in the future, if robots could do all that, I think cities could be built a lot faster. You could have way more cities, way more houses being built. And I think that should reduce the pricing of a lot of things in our economy.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So, and I do 100% agree with that. My next question for you is, you being a homeowner, what's that figure? How much are you willing to pay for a robot? Now, I'm not saying he's going to be able to fix the advanced water leaks, but I'm saying two things for you specifically. Can do the dishes and pick up dog poop in your yard.
Okay.
How much you paying for a robot?
Let me ask you, can he also clean my pool?
If you can clean your pool, that 100%. Clean your pool,
right,
pick up the dog poop, and do the dishes.
Well, between my landscaper and my pool guy, I pay roughly $400 a month, right? So let's say $5,000 a year. So right off the bat, I think Tesla was talking about under 20,000 for a robot. So quickly, with just those few tasks,
4 years. Yeah.
you're talking 4 years. It's paying it off. That's not even including the dishes. And shout out to my girlfriend. She usually does most of the dishes. I handle outside labor, even though I have a landscaper and a pool guy.
Yeah, there's still more stuff to do.
There's still more stuff to do. But if she didn't have to do that, or if I didn't have to do that, and then we got more quality time, to me, that's worth at least another couple thousand per year.
Could be worth it.
So, yeah, I would pay easily today 15, 20 grand if it could do all that. Now, I'm not going to buy like the version 1 because it's probably not going to be able to do a whole lot. The one I saw on stage, like that thing's got a solid 5 or 10 years, I think.
I thought personally, when I saw it first and I started dancing, I thought it was going to be way more advanced.
Me too.
The movement and stuff, I thought it was going to be way more advanced. Maybe I'm just a big dreamer that I want.
Well, they had that robot company in Boston, Dynamic something. I forget what it's called. And those robots move so smooth. But that's super high cost, low production.
Yeah.
They're trying to...
Those things have to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. So they're trying to mass produce these things.
How was it moving? I didn't even see it.
Dude, look at the video.
It looks
crazy.
like CP3O or whatever.
Yeah.
From Star Wars. He's just like ding, ding, ding. I think he was even had to be attached to a cord in a lot of the videos.
Yeah, I wasn't as pumped on it.
No,
I'm a huge Elon supporter and fan. I love Elon. I love his vision. I love what he's doing.
I thought it was going to look a little different too. It looks a little scary.
But remember when Elon first was talking about SpaceX?
Oh, yeah.
And his 100%. Rockets were exploding, and everyone's like, bro, you're not going to be able to re-land these rockets. And now those things...
I don't know. That's moving pretty fluent.
You see that thing?
Yeah, but, it's not like like when you think of robot, I think of like iRobot. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah.
But, it's pretty... It's kind of scary, but it's kind of cool.
That's one thing I was thinking. I said, if one of those got wild, what caliber ammunition do I need to shoot that thing with to kill it?
It waving?
Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's a likely possibility in the future?
Dude.
iRobot.
I feel like there's just so much. It's such like a coincidental thing. Like every TV show about robots, every movie about robots always talks about like takeover and crap like that.
They've been telling us for years.
And it's like I always think about like the Wall-E scenario. Like it makes all the humans really lazy. They lose the bone structure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It like kills off the humans because the robots just do everything.
Right.
And like I think about like war, like a big thing. Like imagine like if we ever went to war with a different country, instead of sending our human troops in, that would really risk lives. You know what I mean? We could send robots in to conquer the same objectives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's going to be crazy too. If you think about, they talk about like meta and putting on goggles and living in that world. So all of a sudden now you don't even have to do the dishes or walk your dog.
You're not even going to work.
You can literally, you could just have those goggles on all day long. You could just tell your robot to go get the chips in the kitchen for you. Like some people will be lazy, but at the same time, I think other people will want, like I'll still want to go to the gym and go golfing and be outside and do real things. But 100%. I think those lazy people, it could be a problem for
I think
them.
the younger generation, because I think like myself, like I think about my parents, and you told my parents like it's 20 grand. You can fire these 3 people that work for you to help around the house and then do it. I just feel like my parents and people older than my parents would be like super skeptical. I don't think it would be a hard sell for them, but someone our age, we'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's easy. Let's trust the robot.
My parents don't even want like Alexas in the house at first.
They don't trust it.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Like the older generation, like they don't trust it more than the younger generation. In theory, which our generation, because we're in it, should almost be more skeptical. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That's crazy. It's interesting. If they're under 25 grand, I could totally see myself with one.
Yeah, maybe not, like I said, maybe not the first version or the second version. I want to get those kinks out.
Yeah.
But when you start expanding time though, like we said, 20 years ago when the cell phone thing or the internet, you see the way technology progresses. all of a sudden, like this is version 1. You know, this is the first day Tesla unleashed this thing. So I think if you expand time and you think not just even 10 years in the future, but 50, 100 years,
dude,
the future looks
crazy.
nuts.
Insane.
Google, Apple, these are big players. They can come up with crap just as cool, if not better.
They're all trying for sure. I guarantee they all got some type of robot in the
Or
works.
like you said, if the military, you know, they're building.
Of course.
They probably already
some
got
Iron Man stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite movie. I love Iron Man.
They probably already got that shit on deck.
But think about, obviously it's a movie, but think about like, you know, Iron Man and just like the way things transpire and stuff like that. I just feel like there's a need to be regulations in place. If these companies are making robots, what can they do? What can they actually like, you know, what are they programmed for?
Yeah, like I feel like Elon has good intentions compared to a lot of these crazy tech fucks, but like the wrong person makes these robots.
Or the wrong person.
Or the wrong program gets sent in them and the AI takes over. It could definitely get bad, I guess.
It could.
There has to be like a hard off switch.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why Elon, hopefully, he is smart enough to have something like that. You'd hope in place.
But when Elon talks about it, he's like, yeah, this is AI and all this robots. It's a really bad idea. But then he still builds it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Crazy.
Like on Twitter, he's, you know, he always is.
You want to know why he wants them built? So he can send them to Mars to start building structures, literally.
Yeah.
From here, he could build a house out there, seal it off, get oxygen in it, just send himself out there, live out there.
It's crazy to think about. I mean, we're pretty young, right? You give it 20 years, Elon's going to have someone on Mars.
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah. I think these
For
robots could be the biggest advancement in our lifetime. Like the way we talk to the older generation about like the internet and cell phones.
Yeah.
It's like how did people survive like without that? I think these robots potentially, I don't know, maybe even in our lifetime, but I think a few generations from now we'll look back and be like, wait, people built houses?
They're going to be like, what?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I always think about like, the
They took
internet
some-
is not that old.
Yeah, they got concrete blocks and they just block by block. Like, yeah, that's how skyscrapers and stuff used to be built.
I already see 3D printed houses. Some guy has a company that runs that little construction thing that starts stacking the concrete up, makes like a maze, and then it builds a full complete house. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. We were talking about this. Like, internet's obviously not that old, right?
Yeah.
Name one thing, business, whatever, that requires no internet, like at all. Think about it.
I guess my landscaper guy.
How do you pay him?
Cash money, baby.
That's like the only way.
Anything,
If
yeah.
it's a
Anything
cash
that's
business.
cash, yeah.
Yeah. But I see your point. Very
Yeah. Very slim.
few businesses.
You use the internet for GPS to get to your house.
Yeah, that's true. You know, he's old school. I think he just knows cross streets. You know, he actually knows how to get around town.
I just got this ESPN notification. Ben Simmons slam dunk today. This was his first day back.
Let's go.
Ben Simmons.
I'm ready for the basketball season to get rolling.
He is trash, but he is sitting on the bench for the past
I'm not
2
ready
years.
for basketball, dude. We got playoff baseball coming up first. We got NFL.
Yeah.
I don't start watching basketball until Christmas.
Dude,
Christmas Day, when they have those banger games on, is usually the first day when I start watching some NBA.
Yeah, we're playing fantasy basketball this year for sure.
I'm playing fantasy basketball, football. I'm gonna play some bets every day. That's why I'm ready for the NBA.
I can't
season.
even keep up with fantasy football. Like I would always play. In the last 2 years, I stopped because I would just not be setting lineups. I feel like a sport like basketball or baseball, you have to be setting lineups every day.
It's a lot more commitment in my mind.
It really is.
I've never played basketball, so I want to try the fantasy basketball just to see how it goes. Because our little crew of guys, like everyone's kind of into basketball. Even dude, Rick, Ish, all these guys. I think we could get at least
a nice little fantasy
8
team
guys.
Yeah,
put some money in the pot.
I agree.
Dude,
count me out on that one, but
easy
no
enough.
fantasy basketball.
nah. I'm out on fantasy everything. I'm trying to figure out ways to get off my phone these days, not spend more time on it.
Do you ever set your like tracker on your phone that like warns you to like get off?
I don't, because I tried it once and it just didn't like stop me.
One thing I'm gonna start doing, like, because of Brandon, who works with you, he does all the time. I text him after like 9 p.m. I get a text back saying, and it shows his notifications have been silenced, and I'm like, maybe I should do that, but also like, it's so hard for me to get away from it.
It's tough with business. I know I told you guys I'm doing that 30-day cleanse, like no smoking weed, no drinking, and no consuming social media. And out of those 3, by far, consuming social media has been the hardest.
I believe it.
Isn't that crazy though?
It's so hard because, especially for us, like my job relies on social media.
Dude,
I have
100%.
to.
I make business, off social media too in my real estate.
Yeah.
So I'm still like posting and checking DMs a couple times a day. But it's still really, really hard not to just check a story or just
scroll on TikTok.
Just scroll a little bit.
I agree.
Like by far, not drinking, I'm like, oh, this is easy. Not smoking, no problem. Missed out a little bit more than drinking. But the social media, it's tough. It's tough.
I think the consumption is the biggest thing. Is like choosing not to like sit on your phone.
Yeah.
Next time, so like when you go to the bathroom to take a poop, you don't bring your phone in?
I do. I've been finding myself, like, I don't know what to do in the morning, like morning dump, sitting there, and I don't know what to do. I've been checking my email more because I'm not allowed to scroll on social media. So I'm like refreshing my email, like reading some spam email. But even that's bad. I'm trying to like not be on my phone. I think we've struggled as a society. I think we all do, and I see it in everyone. We have a little bit of free time, a little bit of free space, and we just go straight to our phones for that dopamine hit, whatever it might be. It could even be a spam email where you're like, oh, 15% off or whatever website or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to go shop this website for
instead of just sitting there, just deep in your thoughts, thinking about
I remember those
life.
days. I remember that. I mean, I'm not that old. I remember I grew up with no phone. My parents just got a phone, flip phone, not even a cool one, like
Same.
Way back in the day, I remember. But yeah, those moments were good. Just sitting on the toilet, just thinking.
Dude, I was thinking
I can't remember the last time without having a phone, chilling on toilet.
I don't think that's good for us. Like,
no.
I don't think humans were meant to get dopamine hits that frequently. And I think people don't talk about, literally, it's probably the most addicting. Like, I don't know about some, like, people get addicted to, like, crazy drugs and stuff like that. I can't relate to any of that. But, I mean, the social media thing, I think, is something every single person, including my parents.
I was just going to say.
They didn't even have smartphones for their first 40, 50 years of life. And now, every time I'm with my parents at dinner, I'm the one like, Dad, get off your phone. I see you 5 times a year.
Yeah, or the thing is, oh, did you see that on TikTok? I'm like, why is my dad telling me, did you see that on TikTok 10 times, in an hour? You know what I mean? Because even then, they're kind of caught up to speed with what's going on, and it's easy.
They are. It's almost scary. They almost got up too quick.
Well, you used to just follow, like, think social media, MySpace, early days of Facebook. You'd have like a couple hundred friends.
It's just your friends you see.
And they would post once in a while just what they're doing. You'd scroll. You'd be like up to date, and then like, oh, I'm gonna check this maybe 6 hours later because I already saw what everyone's doing. But now with this short content and these algorithms that know exactly what you like, what you don't like, they know if you hold your screen for 0.2 second longer for this type of material versus that. I think that algorithm is just detrimental for
it's gnarly.
Our health, our attention spans. It's not good.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do about it though.
Yeah, there's really nothing you can do about it because that's the way everyone's going. Like every social media platform has some sort of short form content. Yeah. Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, they have it, and that type of thing. But one thing that I feel like a lot of kids are doing is just because it's the norm, you're doing it. But when I was a kid and a young student, the norm was, I can't wait to get home from school so I can go ride my bike. You know,
Right.
I don't ride my
Same.
bike until my parents yell at me. It's dark. Like, get your ass inside, do your homework, and go to bed. You know, I just am worried about like the different influences. And one thing that we've talked about a little bit is like the agenda, like what can be pumped into social media that we may not even realize
Sure.
what's going on.
Even just controlling like your kids, what they think about life and stuff. It used to be hard enough with teachers, friends, school, but now you add this phone algorithm that they get hooked on. It's even harder to kind of control the narrative. But do you think we're going to peak with social media? Because right now it's just been an upward trend. More and more people are on social media a longer amount of time. Do you think there's going to come a point in society where it actually starts going down and people are going to look at social media like, why are you consuming that so much?
Personally, I hope so. I hope there is a peak eventually. But I think that peak that needs to be replaced with something. And what is that something? I don't know what that something is.
Do you think it'll be something pure like riding your bike again,
I hope
enjoying
so.
fresh air and
I hope
strolling
so.
through the park?
I hope so too, but
I hope so. I just am when we talk about the negatives of social, there's so many benefits of social media.
100%. We talked about that in the other episode about now you can learn all these things and
Education, connecting, networking, it's phenomenal. The pros and cons with everything, right? The cons, there's so many different things that are on a deeper level that I think a lot of us don't understand. Us being like not controlled by our phones, but like dependent on that dopamine and dependent on that constant information of stuff going on. And we're used to getting things like this. When you don't find out or you don't hear from someone or someone doesn't get back to you like quick, you're like, dang, what's going on? Or if you see, like, for example, like I don't post Instagram stories that often, but Ricky Gutierrez, like, it's part of our business. Like
Sure.
he posts Instagram stories all the time. If he doesn't post for a day, how many people are gonna be like, dude, what the hell? Are you okay? Like,
where'd he go?
Are you all right? Like, what's wrong with you? Like that type of thing. I feel like there's just so many other things too that aren't talked about. Like the agendas of, like, one thing that's popular is obviously politics, and like what little pushes are we getting thrown to make us either hate the other side or whatever the case may be. It's kind of like the commercials you see on TV, and I only see them because when you watch football, there's tons of commercials that say, oh, this senator is doing this and this, sponsored by the opposing running senator.
Don't you hate seeing those
like-
ads when you're trying to just watch football?
It's like, what the heck? It makes me feel like if you're making an ad to talk crap about the other person, you don't even, like, that just shows you the type of person you are. You know what I mean? And I feel like that stuff is just low-key getting pushed through social media. But a big thing is like the censorship, like on Facebook specifically, or Twitter. Like, it's like fact checking. Like remember the whole fact checking thing during COVID?
Yeah, it was complete bullshit.
It was literally BS. And even the people who were like agreed with, like, oh yeah, that's probably a good thing to have. Now you ask them, they're like, oh crap.
Well, did you hear what Zuckerberg, he said on Rogan's podcast? He asked him about that censorship, and Zuckerberg was just saying, well, the FBI said it was fact, so we just took that. So the FBI was telling Facebook, hey, that's a fact. That's not a
sketchy shit
fact.
going on.
Hide this.
I just feel like in today's society, you cannot trust that.
Yeah, the FBI should not be allowed to control what's on Facebook or the internet either.
Yeah, one thing we were talking about before is like government and society and people. And I feel like as time goes on, like the hatred and like the opposing side of like rebelling against like not just the government, but like this these political powers and stuff that they do have so much influence. Because if they can change what you see on your phone, imagine what else they can change going on in the world. You know what I mean? So that was a big thing that we talked about, was like, how do you think that's going to switch going on in the future?
Well, I think you're already seeing it with new platforms emerging like Rumble. And I just saw I think a new law is trying to get passed, stopping social media, essentially putting regulation on social media from not being able to censor things like politics. So I think society is either, these big companies are either going to accept that, or I think people are going to be able to move off onto other platforms. Because when you really think about it, like, it's just a platform to post videos and stuff. We act like they have such a monopoly, like Facebook and Instagram. MySpace went away pretty fast and Facebook picked up. Like, I think something like YouTube could be tough because they have years and years of video that these people they haven't even saved all these videos to just upload onto a new platform. But you look at something like Rumble and what happened with like Andrew Tate, and his following just moved on to Rumble. All right, we're not on YouTube, we'll move over to this platform. You see Trump tried starting Truth or whatever. It's not really hitting, but I think
it is hidden, right?
Or it might
you just can't get in.
Or you can't get in.
That's the thing. He only lets a certain amount of people, right? It's not hidden, though, right?
It's not hidden too hard. Yeah. But I do think you're already seeing an adjustment. So that's encouraging to me.
Think about how fresh TikTok is. TikTok's relatively new.
Past 4 years.
I feel like more. I mean, me personally, like I think about my family members and stuff like that. They're spending more time on TikTok than they are on Facebook.
I'm saying you saw how fast that emerged. So I believe if these current platforms don't adjust, and people are pissed off, people are, I think, finally realizing things like, you saw all the Hunter Biden shit come out, and you're like, wow, that was real news. That wasn't fake news. Mm-hmm. You see all the COVID shit that they said was fake news, and now it comes out, actually, that was real too.
Yep.
People are seeing that, and I think they're finally realizing, we're pretty smart as a society, and I think sometimes it just takes a lot of pushback. Like, I wasn't wearing a mask the whole fucking time. I was like, this is retarded. This is the dumbest shit ever. I'm not wearing a mask. I gave pushback to everyone. I was the only one at the airport without a mask on. Back then, though, people were like, they wouldn't do that if it wasn't for all this fat. I saw through it quicker. But if they tried implementing masks again, and people were like, no, we're not doing this shit again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. All the people that wore masks were like, yo, we need to, obviously they're wearing masks for whatever reason, not necessarily political reasons, but they're wearing a mask for like the common sense of like, we're telling you to wear a mask, wear the mask. It's not that big of a deal to wear a mask. And now those people, especially the people I know, or the people that were around us, were like, yo, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to wear a mask, you have to quarantine, all this stuff. At the time was like, yo, this was happening. But now, in, what is it, October 2022, they're looking back and going, dude, we didn't need to do all that. Well, that was a bit extreme, don't you think?
Right.
That's what they're saying. And those were on both sides of, the spectrum. So
I think you can only pull that so many times on society and only hide so many stories, whether it's the Russian collusion or all these different stories. I think as time goes on and it gets hard and more platforms emerge where you can't really hide the truth. Like, think about, it was so easy 100 years ago for government to control the narrative.
Or swinging an election.
Or swinging it. They had the 4 newspapers in their pocket. They had the 3 news stations. They could just say, oh, war, like all you saw about the war in Vietnam was like a few photos and this. Now, like with TikTok, like the war in Ukraine.
You see it on TikTok.
You see live videos
100%.
from everyone's a news reporter. So I think government is slowly realizing like, oh shit, we can't control the narrative anymore because everyone is a news reporter.
Yeah.
But I think it could go one of two ways. I think they either see that as such a big threat that they come for like total control, or society kind of wins and they realize we can't get away with that shit that we used to.
100%. One thing we were talking about as well as this pertains is like, there's like an older generation in politics that like have like a sense of direction, whatever the case may be. And there's all these younger people that have grown up with this technology like us. And we can kind of like see through what's BS and what's not BS and like all this stuff. What do you think is going to transition or change between the older generations that grew up with no technology in government, or not just government, but maybe just government, but like the decision makers the decision makers that didn't have influence of like what we're seeing today and the social platforms and being able to see, yo, this is going on like all sorts of ways, or seeing different point of views from different people. You know what I mean? Because if you're an older person now, you grew up on those 4 news stations. You saw things very differently. You didn't get to communicate with people from different states. You knew different states existed, but you didn't communicate with those people. You didn't see how stuff was over there. You didn't, if you lived in a well-off area, an affluent area, you weren't seeing how the slums were. You know what I mean? But I feel like with social media now, like we can go on and we can see exactly how the hurricane's hitting Florida. We can see exactly that crap. We're not seeing a newspaper 7 days later go, hurricane hits Florida, big disaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to transition? Younger people getting into these places of power and direction? Like,
Jake, do you see people, like in your age group, more into politics, not talk about politics?
Not talk about it at all, sadly.
yeah.
Besides, there's a hand select few, that definitely their posts on their stories.
I feel like
whatever
it's
politics.
harder to escape it. Like I felt like when I was younger, college, high school, like now politics was, am I allowed to go to prom or not go to prom?
Yeah.
Like that was like a political thing, right? Am I going to be able to play my senior year of football? Like I felt like when I was younger, politics wasn't as heavily involved in my day-to-day stuff of if I could leave the house or not. So that's where I feel like the younger generation would be a little bit more in tune with what's going on because it has more day-to-day impact.
Now I think it's turning a bit more now that they actually do see the effect of gas prices with someone in the office making bad decisions. They see all these different effects that hurt their day-to-day life, like you were talking about, to where I think this next election we will see a bit of a change in that. People supporting whoever they're supporting a bit more, being a little more vocal with it, just because obviously the effect of it has not been good. I
think too, when I was younger, the only way I could consume like real political type things, my dad'd be in the family room flicking from Fox News to CNN.
Yeah.
And I would walk in, I'd be like, I'm not sitting here watching this shit.
It's boring.
It's boring. I'm going to go do something else. But now you're on your For You page and it's LeBron James dunking and then some girl with a fat ass and then, oh, there's a political post.
Yeah.
And you might watch that when in the past, that would have never kind of just came up on you when you're chilling in your room or something.
When you're younger. But I feel like now I'm older, I'm like, oh, here's this political post about X, Y, and Z, or this is how it's going to, in my eyes, I'm like, all right, how is this going to affect the stock market? Like, what's the change here? You know, like I'm watching all these GDP reports. I'm watching all this economic news about obviously inflation, tons of real estate news, what's going on with the market, interest rates, the whole 9 yards. You're like, crap, that is affecting your day-to-day life. Where 5 years ago, dude, I don't know if I would have freaking cared what's going on. And now as I'm getting older, I do. But do you think the younger people, the younger generations, I think they're starting to care as well, because they're realizing, crap, this X, Y, and Z happened. Now I'm paying more dollars at the pump than I was before, or having to pay stuff. Because what we were talking about earlier was you go to get lunch, you go get pizza. Dude, pizza 10 years ago was nothing. Now you can't even get a slice of pizza for freaking $7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's definitely having more implications on the day-to-day stuff. But I think to your point as well, sometimes I think, am I just getting older and kind of turning into my dad? And now just getting more focused on politics and stuff like that? Or is the world changing in a way where you just can't really avoid it? I even feel like in sports, like I'm a huge sports fan. Every time I turn on sports, it's something political, whether it's, it was the Kaepernick thing or, talking about gay rights or this or that. I felt like back in the day, sports was, it didn't have all these underlying messages.
It was about the damn sports.
Yeah.
Not what's behind the scenes, or what I view it another way as these players are now celebrities in a sense. And now because they're celebrities, we're caring more about what they're doing off for the court or field than we were before.
But that always, like, you think back to Muhammad Ali, they always said he talked a lot about, he was kind of like an activist in his own way. So I think that existed to a certain extent, but I think it's definitely with social media and all these players getting brand deals and how polarized the world is. I definitely think it's more amplified, and it's harder to just stay out of it. It's harder to not have an opinion these days, which kind of sucks.
I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to sit back and go, you know what? I don't really care about that. I don't really need to think about that. I can go either way. I don't have an opinion. I feel like myself, I feel like there's very little things where I like, I don't know if I, think about it one way or another in sports, politics, or anything, or it makes you think that way.
Well, when I was in high school, I didn't know if my friend was a liberal, a conservative, somewhere in the middle.
Didn't matter.
That didn't matter or even come up. Do you feel like
Didn't come up once, no.
even for your age?
No,
That's interesting.
not at all. Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how old are you, Chips? 21. So I just think it's...
Well, that's a decent gap right there.
Yeah, because I'm 30, Chips is 21, but I think it was really since like COVID. Do you think COVID kind of sparked this whole change? I think that was really the movement.
I think so too.
And the way
agree.
social media kind of took over, all of this. People, when COVID happened, the world shut down, everyone got glued to their phones and all these issues started arising and riots. And it was really hard to just not get on one side or another side. But I remember growing up as a kid, you wouldn't even talk, like you had no idea who your teacher voted for.
You're not supposed to
You
know.
weren't supposed to know, and no one cared really either.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing that in today's world at all.
No.
Yeah. A couple things you're not supposed to talk about is religion, politics, and that's like what's talked about at Thanksgiving dinner. You don't want to argue about with your family about, politics or religion or whatever the case may be. And now what we were talking about earlier in public schools, these teachers are using their voice to get to their students by like vocalizing their viewpoint and standpoint. Their viewpoint and standpoint may not be the same as that child's parents. So then there's conflict. All right, now who do I believe? What's the case? And I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of that happen, and that's something we talked about on a previous pod. It was, do we want these specific teachers agendas being pushed to these younger kids? Because we know teachers that are our age, or younger than even Jacob. Like they're in their 22, 23. They're going out, getting blown out on a Friday night, and then rolling into class Monday morning and teaching third graders. You know what I mean?
I felt like that shit was always happening though.
It was always happening.
Teachers have been partying.
I realize
it's so funny when you
now,
think back.
When you're older, you go, dang, that teacher I had in high school, yeah, she was probably getting lit on the weekends.
Yeah.
Oh, that teacher, he smokes weed every day when he gets home.
Yeah. But I just think it's interesting now that, I just feel like the older generation of our parents didn't have to really not deal with that, but that wasn't even a discussion of a topic of discussion,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's crazy times, but I guess we'll kind of see. I think it's good though. More people seem to be at least educated, understanding what's going on. I think that needs to potentially happen for this change of all these older fucks in politics and the way the world's been run. I think in the future it's going to be different, just because I think people are more educated. I think people are going to be valuing who they vote for locally. Just paying more attention, I think, is a good thing. I think when things were really good in America there for a while, a lot of people just felt like, oh, it's great. And people stopped paying attention to who they elected in and all these, who's on their HOA board. I joined my HOA board because there's all these old people on there who are bitching about garage doors are painted what shade of white. And I truly believe people our age are like, dude, why are we telling other homeowners what color white to paint their garage? Mm-hmm. So I think we need some young blood in there to kind of step up and be like, this isn't how the world has always ran. I know this last 20, 30 years or whatever, it's been this way, but those things can change. But it definitely takes young blood paying attention to all these issues to spark that.
100%.
I agree.
I went to one HOA meeting because when I lived in the house with Ricky and I had two other roommates, okay? And all four of us, we lived in this house and we all had cars at the time. I had 2 cars. Rick had 4 cars at the time. We had tons of cars. They're all loud, obnoxious. we got so many damn complaints from the neighbors that they were trying to fine us and do all this stuff. And then the neighbor had a yelling match with me one morning, screaming at me because I started this car that I had and it was way too loud, and she came out cussing at me.
Like, it's a cold start. It's just loud.
Yeah, and it's on the 85. Like, trust me, you don't know how this shit works. It's like I'm trying to tell a lady. And she cussed me out several times. We always had issues with her. And then you were like, I reached out to the board person on Facebook, and he's like, well, you guys need to come to a meeting. So me and my roommate, Harley at the time, we went to this freaking HOA meeting, and they were like so dumbfounded that we were even there, because we're young guys. Like, we have no business in a damn HOA meeting. Like, there's tons of people there with kids that are way older than us. And we're sitting there, and I remember having, like, we brought it up, like, hey, how do we, like, go not file a complaint against a complaint, but, like, how do we say, yo, this is justified or this is not justified? And they're like, sorry, SOL, if someone complains about you, like, you're going to get a complaint, you know? And it, like, discouraged us, because we're like, dude, like, there's no solution. It's like whatever they say goes. And I feel like there's needs to be a lot of change, because younger people don't want to get involved in the HOA. I'd rather just not deal with it and pretend like it's not even happening. I feel like there's going to be a side of people that are like, I don't want to deal with politics. There's no incentive for me to be in politics besides political power. You know what I mean? Like, why would I want to be in politics? It's easier for me to just pretend like it doesn't exist.
Definitely politics, but I think something like I look at it, why I joined the HOA is, you know what? I'd rather be part of the say here. And also, like, I'm the new homeowner. Like, the guy running it, he's old, man. He don't got too much time left. You
know, you think you're gonna swoop? You're playing.
I'm playing like kind of nice guy. I kind of throw my opinion in there here and there, but I'm not heavily involved. But yeah, the goal is eventually I'm going to take reins, and then I'm going to dismantle all this bullshit and rewrite the CCRs, you know?
I like that. Little schemer.
Yeah.
My boy.
I think, you know, you could do one of two things, right? You could bitch about the way it is, or you could try to spark change. Now, do I want to run for politics and get in that? No, dude, that's like too much of an ask. But something very close to home, like literally close to home, my own home, and people telling me what I can and can't do, joining a board where, you know, I send a few emails a month, I could do that. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Young people get involved. But on that note, I got to get going. You guys ready to call this a podcast or what?
Let's wrap it up.
Who we got on tomorrow?
We have Josh Bruckner coming tomorrow. I believe Ricky Gutierrez is going to swing by as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned and get ready for tomorrow's episode.
Dope. Peace.